Motor outdoors, here we come. Motor outdoors, here we come.
Welcome to Board Outdoors Podcast. Looks like you see us again. For people listening, we're doing live streams. Check out YouTube and you can watch the video. I got on Mac. And then we got Scott.
I'm Scott.
And Seth.
I'm Tim.
And he's Tim. Hey, there's Tim. There's Seth.
Hi.
Hi
Brady
guys.
Bunch.
I'm retarded.
I like turtles.
But we're
I'm a slippery little snake.
what do you guys having to drink tonight? Coors Light. Oh, you changed.
I changed, man. Whoa, Scott, being classy.
God, I need to stop by. This is just a little, my little German cup filled with, what do I got in there? Shit, I don't remember. Whiskey. Whiskey and 7-Up because I ran out of ginger ale.
I got the Voodoo Ranger.
Oh, yeah.
The Juice Force from Homegrowns. I'm addicted to these things.
Yeah.
That's only about one of the IPAs I'll drink is that one.
Yeah, but I think we're going to cover Boundary Waters. We haven't talked about it for a really long time, and I know it's a popular thing in the Midwest. So
Yep.
we'll just go over a couple little quick things about the Boundary Waters, tell some stories you may have heard or not heard before, and talk about how great it is to go. We've all been there. A lot of people have been there more than others. I've only been there once, but it's pretty fun up there. So with that being said, who wants to start and tell some stories and how you do everything?
Seth, you said you're going again this year, right?
I am. That is correct.
So which side are you going in? Are you going in like Eli, Finger Lakes, blah, blah, blah? Or are you going Marias?
We're going Marias side. So we're going to head down the Gunflint. We're going to go. So this trip this year is going to be different. I usually tag along with people that know what they're doing. And this year I'm the guy that knows what he's doing. So so my wife and I are going, and then my brother-in-law and his girlfriend are going, and then my sister-in-law. So there's 5 of us. So that'll be kind of different. And we're going out of it's kind of a not guided, but we're going out of Rockwood Lodge. So we're going to rent a couple canoes out of a outfitter up there. And they're camped right on one of the last lakes that butts up to the Boundary Waters. So it's really nice for first-time goers like my wife and sister-in-law and all those guys. We can just show up there, sign the final paperwork, get in our canoes, paddle from shore, get to the far side of the lake, and then we portage into the Boundary Waters. So pretty straightforward.
That's the same thing. Basically, what Ken's and I did was we went through Seagull.
Yeah.
And so it was Seagull Lake. And they did what they called it a tow, which it wasn't a tow. It was just like John boats with like racking on it.
Sure.
And they truck you across the lake, and they basically drop you off at the entrance, which in our case was a series of waterfalls.
Yes.
No, they dropped us off at an
down.
island. When we went, they just dropped us off at like one random island in the middle of the lake.
Oh, you're right. No, because you were on the other side. No, you're right. Because I went down Granite River and Marabou Lake. When you and I went, we went on the other. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
And they just dropped about something like a random. You're right. Like, here you go. Good luck.
Good luck. Yeah.
We just set up camp there. I mean, there was
We
TV
should
and
have.
stuff. It was great. Yeah.
Right. And I'm pretty excited because so Jack and I are gonna take off on we're going in early August, and we're gonna head up there the day before we actually are supposed to enter the Boundary Waters. We're just gonna get a hotel in Grand Marais or Duluth or something, and just spend a night in a hotel and enjoy the evening. And then early the next morning, we'll meet the rest of the crew up there at the lodge or at the outfitter, and so we'll get a good early start in the day. Get in there early, and then we're just going to spend 2 nights in the Boundary Waters and come out. So,
are you going to go to the world's best donuts in Grand Marais?
Yes. Like, I can't imagine I won't. it should. They've got kind of weird hours, so
They do.
I know they're like not open on Wednesdays and Tuesdays or something weird, but the days we're going up there, they should be open. So I will definitely stop there. And I don't know about on the way out, but on the way back, when we come out of the Boundary Waters, I definitely am stopping at Java Moose in Grand Marais.
Is that a coffee shop or what?
Yeah, it's a coffee shop, hoity-toity, good sugary, girly coffees. Getting myself a turtle mocha. It's so good. So good.
Is that the place that's like on the where it splits, where you can stay on the highway or you can go downtown and it's like right on the corner?
Yeah, it's right there. You can't miss it because it's surrounded by people in yoga pants. So,
yeah, I know where it is.
It's getting better and better.
I cross the streets where Voyager Brewing is.
Yes.
Like, wait, women in yoga pants, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Hey, can I tell a quick story? So, like this morning, I dropped the kid off at daycare or at school, and then Jackie's working from home, and my other kid was sick. So I was coming back home. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get Jackie a Caribou coffee, and I haven't had Caribou in forever. And I went to Caribou and I ordered my drink, and as I'm waiting for it, like there's like 8 people in line to order, and it's literally 7 women in yoga pants and a chunky gay dude. And I was like, I don't think I can keep drinking Caribou. Like it used to be a thing for me and I've cut the habit, but now I'm like, yeah, I just don't think I'm supposed to be in a place like this. I'm too manly.
There's a couple places that you can stop because we always go up to the North Shore every year for like our anniversary. And there's a couple cool places like on the way to like in between Lutzen and Grand Marais. One of them is the Lutzen. Shut up! The dog's crying. One of them
is his alter ego.
Lutzen Resorts. It's pretty sweet. It's right on the lake, and then they have bonfires down on the water on the beach. Otherwise, there's like Bluefin Bay, which is pretty cool. They have a hot tub on the water. And then we stayed at one last year with the dogs. And that was, I'll have to get you the name of it, but it was super cheap. It was like $40 for the night.
Awesome.
Yeah, Bluefin Bay is not inexpensive.
No, Bluefin Bay is like your average. It's like $100, $200, but it's a really nice hotel room. Like, allow dogs and all that.
When do you go?
We usually go in July. If not,
we went Labor Day, and I looked at Bluefin Bay, and it was like $600 a night.
Oh,
like insane. But a Labor Day weekend, everybody goes up there to see the colors and all that shit that probably people in yoga pants and big gay dudes at Caribou want to do. But
we went to Bluefin Bay a couple times over the years, and one time we rented the big sea kayaks there.
Oh yeah.
And sister and Jackie and I all got it, and it's just like one person kayaks. But dude, I don't know how to explain it. It was creepy, like
because you're really low, aren't you? You're like
you're really low, and Lake Superior, it's such clear water. We're only a couple hundred yards offshore, but like it wasn't a wavy day, but you could feel large waves. I don't know how to describe it. Like you could just feel yourself kind of rolling all the time.
Just a big flat rollers kind of.
Yeah, right. And like just knowing how cold that water is, like it was probably, I think it was early June. It was like, frick, man, if I fall in here, it's like 55 degrees, and it's just gonna suck so bad. So it's kind of interesting though. It was fun.
Well, anyway, before we got on the whole Mary ass kick, you were saying you guys are going to get up in the morning and day before, whatever, Mary ass, get up in the morning. Okay. Sorry, we went on a side tangent. So what's the plan?
Yeah, so we're going to hopefully get up at a decent time, get to the outfitter at a decent time. I've rented a 2-person Winona 2 canoe. It's a Kevlar. So it's the lightest ones you can get. So Jackie and her sister are going to pair up in that one. And then her brother and his girlfriend just bought an Old Town canoe. So the Kevlar Winona 2 weighs about 47 pounds, 45 pounds, somewhere in there. The one they just bought is going to be somewhere around 60, 65 pounds, which Makes a difference. That makes a big difference.
Yeah, makes a big difference.
Yeah, but
big portages.
What's that?
You got big portages?
Yeah, the first. I'm so pumped. The first portage I think is a mile, maybe.
Shit!
Yeah. I was like, screw
you, rods?
Dude. They're all.
How many rods
like,
is that?
Yeah, they're just like, you book it, you do all. Basically, her brother's like, I really want to go, but you do all the work. I'm like, okay, you guys are in for it then. Like, I'm just booking. Yeah. And the one I wanted to go out of, all the entry points were booked. So I kind of had to go to like option 2 or 3 on my list. And I was like, yeah, it's not ideal to have a big long portage, but all the portages after that are super short, and we'll be way back in there. So it'll be good. So we are going.
How many rods is that stuff?
Oh, shoot. I got to look at the map again. Is it 300? What? 320 rods? There you go. Because I think it's 329 rods or something like that. So
over a mile.
Yeah. It's awesome. And then for the third canoe is just mine. I got a single canoe. I've never done that before. So it's just a one-man canoe since we got an odd number. And it'll be kind of interesting. So,
dude, you got to have a GoPro going because I want to see your wife, and I just want to see 2 women in a canoe going.
Oh, dude, it's gonna be hilarious. I can't wait. So, a couple things like it's just such a short trip. Fishing is not a priority for me. I just like when I started to look into where we were gonna go. It was like, okay, let's try to get somewhere where there's not going to be a ton of people. Where we're back in there enough to have like the secluded feeling, and like fishing wise, it's just not worth bringing all the fishing gear for a 1 or 2 day trip. If you ask me, like by the time we get there, we're going to want to set up camp and relax. Then the next day, maybe you'll tool around a little bit and do a day trip portage and hike somewhere. And like, it just, so I didn't even do any research to see if the lakes that we're going to are good for fishing. I just wanted to get some decent campsites and fun portages. So it should be a good time.
Yeah. Sounds like a really fun portage. A mile with a 70-pound canoe.
Hey.
And your backpack.
Yeah, they said they wanted to do the Boundary Waters experience. I'm like, this is it, man. So
and check my math on this, but 2 guys and 3 women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
A lot of shit for you 2 fellas to carry.
Oh, dude, it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot.
Are you guys going in as backpackers? Like, are you like
you going in like?
You got the Eno hammocks and all that, or what?
No hammocks. So I haven't bought it yet, but I'm looking at tents. So I've been looking around at a few different 2-man tents and stuff like that. Like I'll get a tent for 2, maybe a 3-man tent that's somewhere around 5 to 7 pounds. Then I
got one if you want to borrow one. I got a big Agnes. Big Agnes 3-person. That's what I brought to the Boundary Waters. It's 4 pounds, 3-person.
Dude.
It's fucking amazing. I can bring it over next time I come. You can borrow it.
I would absolutely love to. Just if you aren't going to use it this fall, then I would love to give that thing a run for our trip.
Spend a fucking fortune on this stuff. You might as well use it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just it. And I wish I knew if Jackie was going to love this or hate it, because I'm tempted to start stocking up on better gear, but I don't know if she'll like it or not. So
when Margaret and I went, we got these little mini hammocks too, that were just tiny, and they weighed like a pound a piece.
Perfect.
And they're like the size of a Nalgene bottle each.
Nice.
And they're fucking fabulous. Nothing's better than the Eno hammocks, in my opinion.
That's what I was gonna say. I got the hammock. You can borrow the hammock.
Mm-hmm.
Like the bug net and all that. I don't have. Scott's got the underquilt. When I went up there, he let me borrow his underquilt.
It sounds like long underwear.
Dude, it sits underneath and insulates the hammock, so you stay.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
Got right up in my underquilt.
You should take that. You should take the hammocks with, because it's nice to just sit up there and find 2 trees and.
Oh, for sure. Just
you can read a book or whatever. And,
yeah, whatever you want, man. I got literally 5-6 bins of Boundary Water shit in my like big bins, like
nice.
I don't even know what it would be. 100+ gallon bins or something like that. These fucking massive bins of Boundary Water shit. And you're welcome to whatever you want. I got, as a matter of fact, I got that Frost River Duluth pack.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's like a big envelope.
Yes.
God, the thing cost me a fortune, and I haven't even been able to use it yet. I'm pretty sure I could drive my car in there.
Dude.
Like, it is so freaking big, and it fits perfect in the hammock. Anything you want. We should talk about this at some point.
Yeah, we
Anything
definitely
that
should.
you don't have and you want to borrow, we
Yep.
should kind of do like little community shit, because like all this shit's just sitting in the basement. I'd rather get used.
Oh, that'd be perfect, man. Because I've got one wet pack that Jackie could use if you had one that I could borrow. You know, because again, like the big question mark for me is just, is she ever going to use it again?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like just getting by with more people on the trip, and yeah.
Well, yeah, and I got like even like backpacks, like because when we went in with Scott and Margaret, we went as backpackers. So I bought like the big North Face 85 that you can stick everything in there. Then you got all your paracord for hanging stuff up. The only thing that we didn't bring, which Scott had, was the little what was that little tiny chair that you got from REI? Like
one of those chairs with the tubes.
That's like
yeah,
and they weigh like 2 pounds or whatever. I've got one in my Jeep behind me. Actually, I could show you. But different companies make them, and actually Eno makes it if you want to spend like $100 and some on it. And I have one of the Eno chairs, and it's nice. But then there was like one from a company called like Outdad, and another one from a company called like Moonlance. And it's all the same shit. You know, it's all being made like Vietnam, and they're like, "Which one is that? You call that Outdad? Which one is that? You call that Moonlance?" And you know, and they just fucking go out the door that way, because like it's literally the exact same thing. So why do they have different brands stamped on them? And they cost the same. It's like $30 on Amazon, and it's like in the same store. It's weird, but yeah, those are nice.
And then like I got like the big dry bag too that we put all our food and stuff in, because Mariah was terrified of our stuff falling into the lake canoeing. So we brought like the big dry bags that we put everything in, so if we fell out of the canoe, everything would float.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent for that, especially just if it rains or anything. Having the dry bag is so nice. So I bought a Cabela's brand dry bag because I was too cheap to go with the Duluth pack. But dude, those Duluth packs, Scott, like you're talking about, just man, a couple of the other guys.
It's waxed canvas. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the stuff you can fit in those things is unbelievable. And
it's heavy. You can put everything in there. Like everything in there, and then I got one of them North Face. Yeah, we should talk. We got a ton of, like, definitely don't buy anything.
Yeah.
Because like,
especially for this is a kind of a test run anyway, so might as well just kind of borrow what you need and figure what you're gonna want in the future if you're gonna go back up there again.
Well, and you got the jet boil, so like for your coffee, and you can bring the Mountain House or whatever for food.
And that's the plan. That's what I told them. Like, we'll just do Mountain House and stuff. We might bring in like frozen brats or something the first night, just for just for that kind of fun. Then I'll bring in a pan. We're gonna bring some fishing gear, and it's nothing to put in half a stick of Crisco and a bag of shore lunch, just in case. But we're not depending on that happening or working out for a full meal. But should be fun. And then another thing as far as a test run. So Jackie and I, we've been married for 10 years this September. Years before we got married, we did a camping trip up on the North Shore, and maybe a couple, and one at Apple River and stuff like that. But at the end of this month, I finally convinced her that it's time to go camping with the whole family.
Oh,
yeah. So us and the two kids, the 3-year-old and the 6-year-old, are freaking sleeping in a tent on the North Shore.
Nice.
So that'll be a really good test run to be like, is she going to be enjoyable in the Boundary Waters, or is this going to be a disaster?
Well, and that was what was funny is when we went up there, it was Scott's wife, Margaret, and then Mariah.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't know what to expect.
Right.
But like, because like not to poke fun at Scott's wife, it didn't seem like she's ever been like the outdoorsy type. Like, she likes going outdoors and doing stuff, but it's like, you're gonna be in the Boundary Waters, you have nothing. Like, the toilet's in the middle of the woods. Like, and Mariah went on her camping trip, and so like we weren't worried about her. It was a great weekend. Like, Margaret literally just chilled out. Like, she was the most relaxed I've seen her in forever. She's just kind of like, yeah, whatever. Scott was freaking out more because Margaret was we were throwing giant pine trees on the fire. And there's huge flames. And
But you're gonna burn down the boundary water. Imagine the headline: Border Outdoors burns down boundary water.
It's okay. Like, we're trying to get firewood. We keep the fire going. So then we found dead pine trees. And we kept throwing little pine trees. And the next thing you know, they ignite. And then we got like a 10-foot flame. It's pitch black. Jeez. And then Scott's like, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have someone coming to visit us. And he's freaking out. He's like, I burned down. That's a no at the Boundary Waters. Big flames, like you can't alter.
Oh, that's funny.
Bonfires and Boundary Waters do not mix. You know, I'm a rule breaker all day, but like there's some shit that it's just like, you don't do that.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah, I bought some lightweight inflatable sleeping pads and stuff. Let's see the can't remember what the brand was.
Get those self-inflating ones?
We haven't, just because of the price. The one I bought off Amazon was like $30. It's like a Sleep and Go or something. It was like $30 or $40. And I've been happy with that. I've done a couple Boundary Waters trips with that one. And so I had Jackie tried that on the kitchen floor, and it wasn't quite enough for her. So she ordered
get off
her. She ordered a wolf. I think it was a Wolf Walker sleeping pad. And that it's quite a bit wider. Oh, it's black and it's wider. And, yeah. And,
better watch it, Seth. Once she goes black.
And it's got like a built-on pillow and stuff like that. And then it's got one of these. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's not self-inflating, but the end of it, where normally you could blow air into it, it's got this pad that you step on, and that inflates it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so you have to burn up your
ones
breath.
I'm talking about, they're just they roll up. So all you do is you kind of unroll it, you open up the cap, and it has a inside that'll expand to get there. And then what you do is put the cap back on, and now it's basically self-inflated. And, oh, everyone's moving around here. There we go. And then when you get up to go roll it up, put it away, you just open the cover, roll it up again, then cover it back on, or the cap back on, and put it back up again. So, and those weren't expensive, but you're only going to get maybe to an inch of padding, but it's enough just to kind of keep a sharp bit of a rock off your back or whatever. You know, they're not, but it sure helps.
It's a lot better than ground.
I got one of those. I actually, before I got the underquilt for the look at the graphics like we're a real thing. For those listening, you should watch us on YouTube because Mackenzie has got some studio quality shit that he puts up.
Yeah.
Anyway, before I got the underquilt, first time I went to the Boundary Waters, I actually took that self-inflating pad and put it in the hammock as some semblance of insulation behind me because it rained all weekend and it was cold. And I just needed something to help, and it actually worked perfectly for it. But yeah, the self-inflating, the problem with the self-inflating ones is, they cost a little more. Mine was maybe $150 or something. But then after you've used it, call it 10 times, it doesn't inflate by itself as well as it used to. And so you end up letting it get a ways there, and then you gotta like it's not self-inflating. You gotta fucking blow it up. And same nozzle, whatever. It's not a big deal. Again, like first world problems. Like, my pad didn't self-inflate. I'm gonna need
to go to bed, Scott. Start blowing.
Yeah.
Well, you said yours were like $150. Well, ours were, I swear ours were like under $20. They're just cheap.
Oh, really?
But they work, yeah. So
well, you got a better deal than I did then.
I don't
because yours
know what brand they are. I have a feeling maybe we got them at Fleet Farmer Running too. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there's a ton of shit. Seth, have you been to both sides now? Then Ely.
I have not. I've still not gone to the Ely side. I was.
Has anyone, Tim? Have you been to Ely side?
Yeah, technically they call it. We went in. We came out of Sawbill, so a bit east of Ely yet, right? I had to pull up on my maps here.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's still that side.
Yeah.
It's still that side. So,
well, and that's like one thing. If you want to be a quote unquote badass, you go to the Boundary Waters. Like, there's people, guys that go up there and they stay all summer. There's people that try to make an entire year of just.
Well, you remember that dude that when we were there, Ken?
Yeah.
When the first place we tried to stop it, he's like, "Yeah, I've been here a week. I'll be here for another 80 days." Like 80, like 80. And I mean, like, immediately you're like, "Are you high?" But he was obviously high. He was clearly high.
Yeah.
Like, nobody didn't think he was high. But yeah, I mean, the guy was just going to spend. We went right around first week of June, week after Memorial Day.
Yep.
And the guy was going to be there for 80 days, so he was going to be there till September.
Yikes! That's a long time.
Well, and it's like, you think of guys that go up there and they do that. Like, I'm a little bitch when it comes to, like, imagine going through like a severe weather storm up there, and you're in and like, we had like a little rain come through when we were up there, and Scott had like a big canopy and we're sitting under it, but the wind started picking up. Them trees just start moving back and forth,
It's scary.
Could you imagine sitting up there when you get like high wind? And I know there's people that have
died. That first trip, it thunderstormed that night. It rained the whole time, but it thunderstormed. And there was a dead tree right next to where my hammock was set up. So you spend the whole night wondering, is this Widowmaker going to fall on me in my sleep?
Yeah.
And like lightning. I mean, anyone who's ever been camping in a thunderstorm knows it's a whole new level of fucked up, you know? So, and to me, that was a little thunderstorm. To your point, Ken, imagine real weather up there.
Well, that's like I was saying, I know people have died up there, and like a big storm came through and like trees have fallen on them when they're sleeping and shit. Like, can you imagine just listening and then trees pop and crack? Like, you're like literally looking up, wondering which one's coming down because they all look the same.
Well, it's terrible. Well, and in a hammock, when it's really raining and it's, really coming down hard, those straps in between two trees, the water starts running down them. Yeah. And it's got nowhere to run but to you. And so you wake up to basically wet and terrifying weather and nothing you can do about it. What are you going to do? Get out? Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. And that's like another thing is you have nothing. Like, if anyone gets hurt, you're miles and miles away from help. They're not flying a helicopter in to pick you up. Like, you stab yourself in the leg or in the leg, anything, like, you're fucked. Like, you have to be careful. Like, you're on your own.
Well, you got to map that kind of stuff out. Like, when we went, I brought a satellite phone. Now I've got the Zoleo device. That's another thing, Seth. You want to borrow the Zoleo, let me know. It's another thing that doesn't get used. But I got that Zoleo now. Seth, you were letting the dog out. I was telling you, if you want to borrow that Zoleo device, let me know. Nice. It doesn't get used.
Really?
What's Zoleo?
Remember Badass Ross back in the first year talking about it, and he got the Zoleo device, so I bought one. And it's like the size of a pack of cards or maybe a small cell phone. And it's a satellite link. And what it does is it links up to satellites, whatever, and you can check weather, you can send texts, you can receive texts, all satellite and whatnot. It's not super expensive. The device was a couple $100, and then right now I pay $4 a month just to keep it kind of dormant and keep the number, which I don't know why, because it's like, oh, it's so important, such an important number. But and then you pay like $25 for the month you're going to use it, and it's unlimited text. You can check the weather, like I said. There's like an emergency SOS button on it, so if you just keep it in your pocket, if something happens, you basically flip a cap and hit an SOS button, and it sends your exact location to your emergency contacts and text, but also to like the nearest
Coast Guard or whatever.
Forest Ranger, Coast Guard, whatever, the Mounties and in Canada, I don't know, but yeah.
Ranger Rick.
Yeah, Ranger Rick is gonna come, and so I got that device. I pay for it every month. It's just another one of those things. It's in my laptop bag, and so, and like when we went to Glacier for your wedding, Ken.
Yeah.
When Seth and I went the night we saw the Grizzly, when Seth and I went, I had it on the dashboard in his car because we were in and out of signal. And so if something like actually would have happened, I had it on the dash of his car. I could have sent a text. I could have hit SOS. I could have done whatever.
Nice. Hey, Scott, quick segue. I was just thinking about that trip the other day because I was waiting at a stop sign for some construction. Do you remember? Do you remember that night trying to leave North Glacier? Yeah. How long were we stuck at that?
An hour. We sat there for an hour. The construction.
Yes. Yes. Just like for nothing, like in the pitch black, sitting there while some guy's smoking heaters with the stop sign out. And do you remember what the hippie lady said behind us?
Like, hey man. The Freedom Rock lady?
Yes. Hey man, how much longer?
Hey man, is that Freedom Rock? We'll turn it up, man.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, how much longer, man? Yeah, that lady, and yeah.
Yeah.
I remember, and the pastry guy. I said, boy, you got any pastries? That was a fun trip. I do remember that.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, Ken's to your point. That was when we went the first time to the Boundary Waters. Andy was fishing, and he was wearing flip-flops, and I knew that was fucking stupid. But he was jumping from rock to rock.
Oh, no.
And slipped, ass over tea kettle, came down right on his back. First day. We had just set up camp. And he's laying there on this rock. And I'm like, so do we just like push him into the water and pretend he never came? What do we do? And I thankfully before we came, I had printed off a whole bunch of maps and where we set up camp. The quickest way out was actually about a 2 miles walk. There was a trail that kind of picked up and led off through kind of swampland and stuff, but right to our outfitter. Like that whole way around and then straight across. We were actually only a mile or two from the outfitter. And so I'm like, am I going to have to carry him out? Blah, blah, blah. Turned out he messed up his back pretty good, but not so bad. It was whatever. And that was after that trip. First thing I thought was when you spend 5 days nowadays without any communication back home, you just automatically assume the worst. The worst is happening back home. Something happened. The wife was in an accident. My parents won the lottery and ditched us. My kids are sick, whatever. You sit and you worry about everything. And the second thing is, what if something happens? So that's where I started. The next 2 trips, I did a satellite phone, which you can rent a satellite phone for a week. You actually end up renting it for a month because you got to rent it for the week they ship it to you, the week you get back to ship it to them, and the week or whatever you're gone. So you end up renting it for like 3 weeks. And it was like $200 to rent a satellite phone. But that Zolio was like $200 or something like that. And then you just basically turn on the service the month you go for like $25. And you can send texts, check the weather, hit the SOS. I think there's even more stuff. I just did an update on it. But yeah, that thing's pretty nice. And it's just another thing that doesn't get used. So
you said it was like $4 a month just to kind of keep it dormant right now, so that way you have all your settings and your number and all that kind of shit.
Yeah. So if I wanted to, I could jump on my phone now on the app and just turn it back on. It'll charge me $25, but because I pay that $4 a month, it's that quick that I can just jump on and be like, turn it on.
That's sweet.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Seth. So like you're going and you're buying gear. Trying to. Mm-hmm. Are you thinking of, okay, is this gear I can use out west hunting?
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's like even like the 2-man tent thing. If I decided to buy one, that's the tricky thing is I like as light as possible for Boundary Waters, But I'm also looking at other options like, oh, would this work for like a Western hunting? Is it rugged enough to get me by for a backpacking trip out there? You know what I mean?
And that's like that Zolio thing. That's not a bad thing to have when you're out west.
Oh, not at all. Like, yeah, I looked at because I just texted Ross about this a couple of weeks ago. Like, hey, in fact, it was on Easter Sunday. I was like, sorry to bug you on Easter. And he goes, basically, he responded with, hey, don't worry about it. And then he made fun of me for being homeschooled. So, yeah, that thing would be well worth it for any of these backcountry trips, just for the peace of mind. You know, even if you don't end up sending a text home, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's just nice where you can text your wife or your kids. Like you put your kids to bed at 7:00 every night. You can send them a text.
Right.
You know, we did this today, whatever. You can text back and forth between the wife, call it good. And then, you know, it's just nice to stay in touch for like what Scott was saying, because you think the worst. Who died? Right. Yes. Like something happened. I've been gone for 5 days. There's no way that they can live without me.
Right.
But yet they can.
Well, and the first time I went, like actually we got, because once you get on the Gunflint Trail and you still don't have signal, you have Wi-Fi for about 5 seconds at the outfitter. That shower is the greatest thing in the fucking world when you get out. Then you jump on the Gunflint and you get all the way down to Marias before you finally start seeing a signal. And as soon as I got there, I had text messages from a buddy that his dad fucking died while I was in there.
Jeez.
And like talking about funerals and blah, blah, blah. It was like 3 days ago that I got the message.
Oh.
And so I like call him back and I'm like, sorry, I was in the Boundary Waters. I'm like, I know people always say like I didn't get your message, but like literally I was in the Boundary Waters. Like totally I didn't get your message.
And I think if I ever go back up there, I'd go through that Seagull Outfitters again. I mean, it'd be cool to go through like the Ely side too. And for people that are wondering why he keeps saying Grand Marias, he means Grand Marais.
No, I mean Marias. I mean Eli and Marias. That's what I'm saying.
But like when we did the Seagull Outfitters, we showed up. We were a day early. They had like this big bunkhouse. We put all our stuff in the bunkhouse. There was like a restaurant down the road. We drove down the road. We saw a cinnamon cub bear, black bear.
Yeah.
And then we saw another black bear. And then we saw like fox and all this. And that's where Scott's wife goes, oh my God, the nature. we're not even in the Boundary Waters yet. But then like their bunkhouse is cool because it was just like, what was there, 4 or 5 rooms? And there was like 6 bunks in each room.
Yeah.
And then like they stayed in one, Mariah and I stayed in the other. And then we woke up early in the morning, took us out, whatever. But then, like he said, when we came back through the outfitter, they had showers. So everyone just put all our stuff in the car. You grab your spare set of clothes, your soap, your towel, and you just go up and you take a nice shower before you come home.
Hot shower. Oh,
yep. That is the best. Like you feel so relaxed. You feel clean. You're not grimy. You know, you can only wipe your balls so many times with baby wipes to try to stay fresh. Like it felt so good to take that shower.
That's the best.
Yeah.
The best.
And that's what's nice about going through an outfitter is you have all those amenities that you wouldn't have if you just go by yourself.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
You know, your guys' trips are way different than what I experienced when I went. When I went the one time, it was through our church, and I was just ended up being a chaperone because Wyatt went the year before, and he talked about how much they were roughing it and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I want to go out there and I want to experience this too. So what happens with this group is we ride up in a van. We have a couple canoes with us, and we get dropped off right out of the lake. I'm gonna pull this up.
Tim, figure.
Not a vacation.
The Wi-Fi.
Sorry, guys.
It's weird. Your hand got stuck doing this.
What happens once in a while? I cramped up. Okay? That's because I was looking at you guys.
Oh.
All right. So is it better now?
Yep.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
good.
Okay, so anyways, we went in through this Baker Lake. We get dropped off. Well, the funny part is this is the first time I've ever been in a canoe that I was actually trying to float in. Because as a kid, we used to take a canoe out in the middle of the lake and we would just tip it over just for shits and giggles because we were stupid. So it was myself, Wyatt, and his buddy Jacob are in the canoe, and I'm in the back, so I'm steering, and I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. And we were all over the damn place. It actually took us, by the time we got across the first lake, I would say we got pretty damn good at what we were doing. So it wasn't that bad. But when our church group goes, it's nonstop work. You're paddling or portaging nonstop all day from sun up to sundown. Because you get dropped off in this one lake, you make this big loop up towards Canada and then come back out, and they come out of Sawbill. And if you're not moving hard enough and fast enough every day, you're not going to make it out in time. Because the guy that drops you off with the van, he goes back to town, down here, and he comes back up 4 or 5 days later to pick you up right out of Sawbill. And yeah, it's required that you take a shower before you get in the van. He won't let you in the van.
Yeah.
Shower anyways, but I thought it'd been kind of fun to go home and give the wife a big old hug and kiss when I got home. But that would have been mean. But so yeah, pretty much we're on a move all the time. So you talk about sitting around in a hammock reading a book and all that kind of stuff. We never had time for that. In the morning, you get up at say 7 o'clock and you make breakfast. By 8 o'clock, you're packed up in the canoes and you're paddling all day long until about 5, 6 o'clock at night. So it's a lot of work, but I tell you what, it's while you're up there, it's like, God, this kind of sucks. But now, it's kind of like getting a tattoo or something. It's like, oh, that freaking hurt like hell, but I want another one. So I'd like to go back up again and experience it.
Well, that's what's great about the Boundary Waters. You can do whatever you want.
You can do it any way you want it. Our church group has been going up there for so many years that they had like this printout of here's the things that you can bring. They give you your Duluth pack. You go home and if it doesn't fit, it doesn't ship. And then what they do with the Duluth pack is they take 3 of those and put them into a Superior pack, and that's what one person's going to carry. So you have three people per canoe. One person carries that Superior pack with the 3 Duluth packs in it. The other person carries the food pack, and then the third person carries a canoe, which I was the jackass carrying a canoe. And I wound up with a big aluminum canoe because they didn't want newbies running the Kevlar. I get it.
Yeah.
So, and our longest portage was 240 rods, so it wasn't what Seth's going to go through. But I tell you what, I got that canoe on my back, and I'm humping through the woods, and I told myself I was going to stop one time all the way through, and I felt like I was probably halfway through. And I'm like, you know what, screw this, I'm going the whole way, and I did. It was a lot of damn work. But the one thing that scared the shit out of me, I'm walking with this canoe over my shoulders, right? I can only see how many feet in front of me. And some guy's dog come running right up underneath that canoe and scared the shit out of me. Kind of had that coyote looking, like not a Malibu, I just had that, like a husky mix kind of look to him. Like, what the fuck is that? And then there was another spot where I was portaging with Wyatt and his buddy Jacob. They went ahead of me, and we were kind of cheating. They were messing around with the bags and making it 2 trips. Or no, you know what? There was a group of girls with us, too. They went back to go get a bag for them. While they were ahead of me, dropped off all the shit, coming back, I looked down and I seen a moose print going across the trail. And I asked those guys, I'm like, did you guys see that moose print when you came through the first time? They're like, no. So it makes me wonder if that moose crossed in between us as we were walking. Of course, I got the canoe over my head. I can't see anything.
Sure.
But yeah, so the way they do it, when we were up there, we only had a fire the first night, mainly because when we got to that island that night to camp, as soon as we got there, it started to downpour rain, and we had no idea. We didn't have any kind of a weather device to tell us what was going on. We're just looking at the clouds. The whole sky was covered in clouds. We're like, this is going to last a while. Let's hurry up and get our shit set up and try to stay dry. We spread all of our shit out, got our tents up and everything. There was actually water flowing right through our tents. The rain only lasted like an hour. So if we would have actually just hung out down by the lake, flipped the canoes over the top of us, we would have stayed high and dry and we would have been fine. But we didn't know. We had no idea. So that night we lit a fire, mainly to get everybody dried up and warm. But then also we had a phenomenal meal. The guy brought up like 4 pork loins that were frozen, and then he cut up potatoes and carrots and peppers and all that kind of stuff. Nice. And we had a freaking great meal. Because that was one of the things I wanted to go up there for, was because when Wyatt went up there the first year, they ate like barely anything. They had all it wasn't really, I think it was a lot of the Morehouse, a lot of MREs and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, you know what? That was when I was really wanted to get out and get into better shape and lose some weight. I'm like, I'm going to go up there for 5 days. I'm going to come out there, skin and bones, We ate like freaking kings, because this other guy the food part, and he knows what he's doing.
Nice.
So yeah, we had all that, the pork loins and all that stuff that one night, and then the next morning he brought up like this big jug of eggs. He cracked open the eggs and had it in like a water jug, and we made eggs and we threw the potatoes, leftover potatoes, meat, and peppers in that. Oh my god, we ate good. The rest of the meals were just phenomenal. But
the food up there is just better. Like you can make the same shit. Like when I went up there and that first night with every night the first night. It's tenderloin, potatoes, and onions, and you just get the cast iron out. You throw a little oil in, you cook everything up, and you eat it. And up there, it's the best thing you've ever eaten in your life. Yeah. I come back here, I got the same cast iron. I cook it over a fire outside. It's not as good.
No,
the food up there is the best.
Well, you have to work for it, is the thing. I think that's where it tastes a lot better. Oh, then the very first day that we were up there, we were having lunch. So this guy, when he packs the food, he packs everything for a purpose, right? So he packs your proteins and a bunch of carbs and just stuff to give you that energy and help you through the day. For lunch, he had tortilla shells with we wrapped up peanut butter, jelly, a cheese stick, a beef stick, trail mix, and some peanuts and shit like that wrapped up into this tortilla shell. And I tell you what, it actually tasted really good.
What the frick?
But the second bite that I took out of my tortilla, I ended up cracking one of my teeth in the back of my mouth, busted it in half. So I had to deal with that for 5 days with I couldn't do anything about it. It fucking sucked. That was not a good way to start off my time up in the Boundary Waters. But
talk about roughing it.
Yeah. Well, and that's what it is up there. It is roughing it. One night he brought up a no-bake cheesecake, like a cookies and cream flavored no-bake cheesecake. So we did a deal where, the girls made the cheesecake, the guys made the meal that night, blah, 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 whatever. Cheesecake's all ready to go. So we had just had that one plate or that one pan. So we decided just to pass it around. Everybody takes a bite. Well, then the guy that we were with, he goes, let's see how many, because everyone's taking like huge giant spoonfuls, trying to get as much as they can. He goes, well, let's try to see how many times we can go around before this thing is gone. So now everybody's just dipping their spoon just in there just to get a little tiny bit, and they're eating that and then they pass it around. We sat there for like 2 hours eating that stupid cheesecake, but it passed time by and it showed people not to be like greedy and all that kind of shit. It's just I don't know. Like I said, it's deal too, so they try to instill other things into you a little bit too. But it's fun.
I mean, there's all sorts of experiences up there. The bottle you're passing around, or the fish you're catching, or the blah blah blah. I swear to God, when you said you were carrying that canoe, and then you said, "Oh, and there were a couple girls with us," and then you started talking about the moose knuckle you saw or whatever. And I'm like, "Is he setting up a joke? Is this a joke? Like is this whole thing like deadpan? Like come on!" And then I was disappointed when you didn't get there.
Right.
Anywho.
So anyways, that was a fun time. I'd like to go up there and pass a bottle around sometime, because obviously we weren't on our church trip. So
yeah, Corey said something like that. Like he wants us to do a border retreat type thing with us. We all go up there and go to Boundary Waters, and that's where he said it's a good time, Tim. I've yet to find someone that says they didn't have a good time in the Boundary Waters.
Yeah.
Right. Like it brings you back to zero. Like all your troubles and everything that you have Like, you go up there, you have nothing but what you bring with.
And
you realize that you don't need a lot.
We talked about, the fact that you guys try to keep communication going with, say, family, with the satellite phone and all that. We weren't allowed to even bring our phones out of the van. We left our phones in that van when we got dropped off, which was great because, well, they're not going to work out there anyways. I honestly, I disconnected so much from everything that it took me from, we got out, we came out on the driving down 35 into Duluth, and I didn't even want to open up my phone. And I didn't even turn it on. It took me until damn near we got home before I even turned it on. I sat there with the thing in my hand. I'm like, I don't even want to turn this thing on because it felt like that was my disconnect. I wanted to stay disconnected.
Yeah.
I don't want to know what's going on in the world now. I've been disconnected from it long enough. It's not a normal connection. Now everything's rushing in. Like, fuck this. I thought you were going to say, like, you got home and Jane was like, hey, how was it? And you were like, who the fuck are you?
I didn't maybe one more day that might have happened. And a little known fact, I haven't been clean shaven since I've been to the Boundary Waters.
Oh, so, there you go. That's where it started?
That's where it started, was I went to the Boundary Waters. I come out of there and I had that epiphany. I'm like, I got to grow a beard.
That's what happened with you too, Scott, right? You didn't start growing a little beard till after the Boundary Waters. Margaret said she liked it.
No, she hated it.
Oh.
The Boundary Waters, I got away with it because I did back-to-back trips. I went with Eagle for 5 days, and then you and I went for 4 or 5 days, whatever. And so I did back-to-back. I was Boundary Waters, home for 2 days, Boundary Waters. And so I just let it grow because I could. And then I shaved it when I got home because Margaret hated it. But then mid-pandemic, I mean, shit, we were all just sitting at fucking home. So I let it go for a few weeks. And Margaret said, say, I think you can grow a beard. And I'm like, do you think so? And I let it go. And after about a month, it was like, God damn, if I can't grow a beard. I look like 1970s G.I. Joe with this shit. So, yeah. And no, she doesn't like it. She very much doesn't like it. And like the only person in the world, like everybody else you talk to, they're always like, beard is always better than not beard. Like, I don't think I know anyone but my wife who thinks that way.
Sure.
But anyone but my wife who doesn't think that way. But my wife is like that. Nope, I don't like the beard. And I'm like, well, I don't like yours either.
That's where our wives are kind of similar.
All right, well, we're going to end there.
Hey, my wife doesn't have a beard. I didn't say that. Cut it out.
But anyways, we should probably end there. Seth, can't wait to hear about all your stories from the Boundary Waters. Good luck to you if you come out still married. That's even better.
Hey, do my best.
That's a lot of time with the wife and your brother-in-law and 3 chicks. Like,
yeah,
someone's coming out pregnant.
Probably me.
You're gonna sleep in that tent with your brother-in-law,
huh? It'll be a good time. It'll be an adventure. Looking forward to it.
It'll be fun. We did a lot of stories from it. So,
yep.
Well, with Border Outdoors, I'm Mac.
I'm Seth.
I'm Tim.
I'm Scott.
We'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks for listening to the Border Outdoors podcast. Follow us on Instagram and be sure to join, follow, and share the Border Outdoors Facebook community page. Also, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Spotify, Apple, or whatever podcast hosting site you listen to. Tune in next week, see what we're talking about, and make sure to get out there and make your own memories.
Hunting and fishing, singing and kissing, here we come. So grab your guns, grab your lines, and here we come.